All right, I think we're live.
Yep.
Everybody, welcome to this writing sprint, this writing stream. I am so excited to have my guest with me today. There we go. I always forget which side of the camera to go to. I always pick the wrong one. This is my friend Lynn. She is spectacular and has been so wonderful in joining me today. So, if you would like to introduce yourself a little bit.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me on, Jasmine. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Lindy Jung. I am a science fiction and fantasy writer, and I'm pursuing traditional publishing and documenting that writing journey on my channel. And yeah, I'm so excited to get some sprints in today.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that intro. And hello, JC. I'm so excited to have you here. JC's the best. She is the best hype girl ever.
I love that.
Yes, I always love seeing her here. Are there any projects that you are going to be planning on working on today, or even if it's not writing, if it's brainstorming, anything of the such?
Yeah, so I'm probably going to be looking at like the first two chapters of Project Crips, which is my adult gothic fantasy with a touch of romance, and kind of preparing those for other people to read them, like alpha readers, and see how that
Oh,
goes.
spectacular. Oh, that is so exciting.
Yeah, I love this project. What are you working on, Jasmine?
It's going to be a toss up. Today, I do this very fun thing where I can't decide what to work on, and I have three projects, and I just kind of like bounce between and like rotate through all of them. But I am very close on finishing a short story in my fantasy short story anthology. I'm so close. So I think I'm going to use this time to try and get past my writer's block and see if I can finish the last part of the story. So that's what I'm going to be working on today.
Mm-hmm.
And
Nice.
yeah, I also think I might, depending on how I'm feeling, I am in the middle of trying to rewrite for like the fifth time, my first story in a science fiction trilogy that I have. I need to figure out the power structure and dynamic of the government. So
Ooh.
that's gonna be fun.
That does sound fun.
Oh yeah, it's always fun in games whenever you write the first draft until you read it and you're like, wait, I need some structure to this. I am a notorious pantser, and I'm trying to become more of a plotter. I'm trying to find the in between because I know that there is so much value in planning out your books. And I sometimes get too excited and I forget that part when I first write it. So this is me backtracking and just kind of setting past Jasmine straight. So excited to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man. And hello, Alice. Thank you so much for joining us on this stream today. I've been so happy to see so many people here today. Maybe I ought to do it at 2:30 from now on. 2:30 seems to be a little bit more of a sweet spot.
Yeah, I always do it in the evening, but honestly,
Yeah.
like this seems like a good in between maybe for people with different time zones.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's been so interesting to see all of the different time zones people are in because I've seen so many people from the UK,
Mm-hmm.
a couple from Australia, and I know US and Canada is kind of interchangeable,
Yeah.
but I feel like that's the common thread that I see a lot of the time. So
Mm-hmm.
so much
Mm-hmm.
fun to see people from different places.
I know, it's always so exciting.
I love it. I love hearing where everybody is from.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let me see if I can get this timer working. For those of you who have seen my past streams, know I'm really bad at transitioning to this timer where I'm like, is it going to work? Is it not going to? All right. Do you have everything you need?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. I usually have water. I don't have water right now, so I might disappear for a second to grab water.
Yeah, that is fun. I have like this big thing, otherwise I wouldn't be able to survive.
I love it. Is this the water bottle that you always use? I feel like everybody has an emotional support water bottle.
Yeah, I've had this one for a while. It's like all glass, which I really like. But
Ooh.
it is kind of a pain to clean.
Yes, it very much matches your aesthetic right now. I like that.
Thank you. I just green is just my favorite color. So everything that can be green is green in my life.
You know what? I feel like more people need to have that frame of thinking. Like, if it's your favorite color, get more of it. Really show off what your favorite color is.
Oh yeah, 100%.
I love it. All right. And then before we get to it, hi, Ari. Thank you so much for coming. I'm so excited to do these sprints with you. And now I'll stop talking and I'll try and share my screen. We
It's
will
so good to
write.
see you, Ari.
Okay, let's see. Let's see if that works.
Yeah,
Perfect.
you got it in one. That was perfect.
Yes. We've done it.
Mhm.
We've done technological things today. All right, sweet. I will start the first one just for 15 minutes, and then I guess that as we go, we can see how we're feeling and just change up the time. Does that sound good to you?
Yeah, that sounds perfect.
All right, perfect. I will disappear for 2 minutes to grab my water. After that, for 13 minutes, I will continue writing with you guys. And I will go ahead and start that timer now. All right. Let me see how to not share the screen. There we go. That's better.
Nice. How'd that go for you?
It went all right. It was very first draft esque, but you know what? As long as it's done.
Oh no.
Oh, let's see. Look.
Did it freeze?
I think it. I think it
Oh,
did. I
okay.
think it's my internet, so that is not on you at all. Let's see.
Okay.
Hopefully, okay, it's back on now.
Okay.
It just had
Cool.
a moment. Sorry about
Yeah,
that.
that's okay. Just a little hiccup.
Oh, absolutely. Did just in case you didn't hear what I said afterwards, how did everything go for you?
It went okay. I got a little distracted at the end, just replying to YouTube
Mhm.
comments, but I
Yeah.
got like 2 pages in for 3 pages in.
Hey, there you go.
So, just gotta keep chipping away at it to make it fit for human eyes.
Absolutely. And this is more, and this was like an editing process on
Yes.
your end, right? Oh, that's
Yeah. I'm just kind of cleaning up the first couple chapters to
yeah.
make them readable.
Oh yeah. I
Mhm.
get that. I get that for sure. I always feel conflicted of how to I always like to do like a word count, not necessarily because I'm like I feel like I have to get to a certain word count each day,
Mhm.
but it is nice to I have like a big old Excel sheet that shows the
Mm.
progress that I've made on the different stories that I've had. So at least I can
Yeah.
see, oh, I have done a lot of work on it whenever I
Mhm.
think I haven't been doing enough. But it's always funny whenever I do editing because I'm like, technically, these aren't new words,
Mhm.
but I did go through like 5,000 words.
Mhm.
Does that count? Should I count that as writing 5,000 words? Should I only count the 3 words that I changed in between those 5,000 words? So, do you
Mhm.
do any sort of tracking in that sort of way?
Yeah, so I have also a big, like, Google Sheets spreadsheet that I use to kind of input my words and stuff, mostly just to see, like, overall how much am I writing per year, but also, how much am I putting into specific stories and things like that. But it does get really
Yeah.
tricky for editing, and I also tend to edit as I go, so, like, for me, I could sit down for writing session and have like 20,000 words in the doc and leave with like 15,000 because I just cut so much. But then I still like did something, but it just
Yeah.
tracks it as negative words, which is
Oh.
like, yeah.
I didn't even think of that.
I know. It's so tough because writing is so much rewriting. Like it's such a crucial part
Mhm.
of the process. But yeah, like is there a good way to keep track of everything other than, well, I finished. I finished a
Right. You're
chapter.
like,
Like
I did the thing. I did
yeah.
what I wanted to do. I got
Mhm.
the end result. But yeah, it
Exactly.
gets tricky. Oh
It
man.
does. Yeah, and especially with like a challenge like, what we are not collectively referring to as NaNoWriMo anymore, I
Yes.
guess, where it's like 50,000 words in 30 days or any kind of
Mhm.
challenge really. Like, I don't know. I just did a 10,000 words in a weekend challenge and like nowhere
Oh,
near 10,000, but I
nice.
wrote like 5 chapters. But I just
Right.
like cut a lot. It was yeah. I don't know. I have mixed feelings about like tracking word count as a metric of productivity, but I
Yeah.
also haven't been able to come up with an alternative.
Right. It's one of those like I feel like necessary evil is not quite the term that I'm
Mhm.
looking for, but I can't find a term that's any closer where it's like, is it a great way to track your progress? Yes. Is it like the end all be all of tracking your progress? Absolutely not. So it definitely you need to give yourself some grace with doing all of these different word counts.
Mhm.
Speaking of questionable things that I feel like many authors hear across the sphere of AuthorTube, how do
Mhm.
you feel about writing every day? I'm curious.
Um, I think it's great if you can, but
Yeah.
not everyone can, and I don't think that makes you less of a writer if you can't, or if you
But
don't want
yeah.
to, if that's just not what works best for you. For me, I'm like, okay, at least have like one good session a week.
Oh, I like that. I
Yeah.
like that. I like that frame of thinking because at
Mhm.
least you're still because I feel like the point of whenever people say, "Oh, you have to write every day," it's not about the writing every day just as a blanket statement, but just staying consistent so
Mhm.
that you can actually get things done. And I would agree with you. It's like that would be great if you could write every day, but not every day is going to be exactly the same as the day before for most
Mhm.
of us. So I understand why there are many people that even if they can only write once a week, at least making it one good writing session is what's going to count.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, because not to, like, draw this out, but I feel like I did have a write every day kind of mindset for a while, but then
Mhm.
I wasn't, like, writing good words or
Yeah.
being terribly productive. So, yeah, right now, especially with my schedule, writing once a week is what works
Mhm.
best, and that'll probably change at some point, but it
Right.
is what you can do. It's whatever you can do.
Absolutely, yeah, and life changes so frequently, like, it's not always going to be exactly the same. I like that you mentioned, like, for me right now, like, this is what works for me, that could change, so, like, open a little bit more of an open mind frame of thinking than and
Yeah.
this is not me trying to, like, put anyone on blast on being like, "You're giving bad writing advice," because, quite frankly, I feel like most writers that are here are giving the advice that helps them the most
Mhm.
like sharing that with the world is not a bad thing while
Mhm.
also having the understanding that all of us are different and that is a good thing to remember.
Yeah. No, I agree 100%. I think we do have a good crop of, like, most of the more recent author tubers who've come up in the last couple years are a lot more, like, open-minded and less prescriptive with their advice and are mostly just sharing things that work for them and being like, "Take it or leave
Mhm.
it." And I really love that energy. It's a good energy.
I do too. I think it puts so much less stress on people that are just coming into the community as well, where they're like,
Mhm.
I'm just trying to make friends and have fun and write. But then all of a sudden you're just like hit with you have to write every day. You have to write at least 500 words a day. You have to do this. And you're like, I just wanted to make friends and
Yeah.
write and have fun.
Seriously. Mhm.
So, you know what? Like, yeah, absolutely. The take it or leave it, like making sure this is what works for me. If it doesn't
Mhm.
work for you, it doesn't mean you're a bad author. It just means you work
Mhm.
differently than me. So I
Yes.
also love that energy. It's really nice.
Definitely. Yeah. In a similar vein, how do you feel about, like I feel like most of the author tubers I've seen are very either indie or traditional or self-publishing minded, like they're very much writing with that goal in mind. But I don't know, do you think that that's like setting a precedent for viewers maybe that publishing has to be the goal when that isn't necessarily the case?
Oh, that is a good
I've
question.
been
That's
thinking about that a lot, like so much.
Well, and I think it's just so hard because there's so many different things that people say about indie publishing versus traditional publishing. And
Yes.
I feel like they go over from what I have seen, from what I have personally seen, I have seen a lot of people say, "Oh, well, don't do indie publishing because of this," or "Oh, don't do traditional publishing because of that." So like there are so many people that take such hard stances on it, like you were
Mhm.
mentioning, where it's like, "Oh, this is the one way that I think is the best way." And I personally really love both of them. And but
Mhm.
then I see from both sides, they're like, no, you have to pick one because you can't do both of them. And I'm like, but maybe you could. Like keeping it like a little bit more open-minded. Because I have some works where they are like my children, where I'm like,
Mhm.
I definitely want this to make a big impact. Because I think the message is really important, and I would love to get that into traditional publishing to make sure it can reach more people in argument sense, because I do understand that a lot of indie works can become spectacular, like really big bestseller books for
Mhm.
sure.
Yeah.
And then there are other ones where I kind of just want to write them for fun, and like, I'm like, hey, I could throw it on Amazon. If it works, then cool. If it doesn't, I had fun writing it, and maybe somebody will love reading it. So I'm honestly kind of like, why can't we do both?
Mhm.
That's the level that I'm on at this point, at least. What about you?
Yeah, I mean, I have friends who are more in the indie sphere and
Mhm.
friends who are in traditional publishing and like people who have transitioned from one to the other, mostly from
Yeah,
indie to trad. And I really like respect that indie side because it's so much work. And specifically, I'm pursuing trad because I know I can't do that work. But it's
yeah.
such a skill set and it's so incredible what indie authors are able to accomplish. And I love that it's more of an open space and like
Yeah.
really like any book can succeed, any kind of story can succeed on there.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, I do think the discourse is not discoursing as much anymore. I feel like people are
Yeah.
more accepting, which is really nice. Um, I don't know. I guess I don't have more thoughts beyond that. I just think it's really interesting to see like people coming in with all these different perspectives and making content in this space. And
Mhm.
it'll be so exciting to see everyone's different journeys. Like Brielle writes is going to be self-publishing her book, and I'm like
Woo.
so excited to see that process.
Oh, how exciting. That's amazing. Well, and I
Mhm.
do know that in, I believe, July, you were able to get a literary agent, which was so exciting to see.
Mhm.
What was that experience like? Was there anything that was unexpected with that journey of getting a literary agent, or some things that you feel like aren't talked about as much during that process?
Yeah, for me, I vlogged like the whole thing all the way through, and that was like the first time I'd done that. Also, like, for anyone watching who doesn't have full context, I had 2 agents prior to that, like, I got a
Oh,
literary agent in college, and they were, like, a newer agent, and my books didn't sell, and then they ended up leaving the industry. I was passed on to another agent who I worked well with, but then they also ended up leaving the industry, so it's like it wasn't, like, my first rodeo, but it was my first time querying post-pandemic, so I was very
yeah.
nervous. I knew I had the advantage of having had rep before. There's, like,
Hmm.
a little box you can check off in Query Manager that's like, "I've had rep before," and that sometimes, I guess, piques an agent's interest a little bit more because it's
For sure.
like you've kind of passed the trial already.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, first time querying with an adult book, first time kind of, like, querying with any idea of what was going on because the yeah, the previous time it was such a crapshoot, no idea how I landed an agent, it was, like, complete
Mhm.
luck, book was awful, query was awful, like, it was such a mess. So I felt a lot more prepared, which was helpful. I
Okay.
wasn't prepared for I did end up getting multiple offers, and it was so difficult to decide. Everyone
Oh.
had so much to bring to the table, and they all had
Mhm.
so many different pros to each agent and, like, very few cons, if any. So I just didn't realize, like, what it felt like to have so many good options and to have to be very almost sharky and make that decision and, like, feel like I mean, I don't think I actually hurt anyone's feelings, but I felt like I
Right.
was rejecting people and it was stressing me out. I was like, "How do agents do this? How do they reject people?"
Right. I feel like I have no idea what it's like to work for a writer's agency. part of me almost feels like, from my very zero experience, but just my opinion from what I can see from the outside, is like the artist is so like, I don't want to hurt your feelings, and then the writer agency is like, I'm just doing my job.
Yeah.
Like, no, I feel bad.
I know. Yep.
Oh man, yeah,
Yeah.
I love that Ari said you give off the least Sharky vibes ever, and I'll have to agree with
Yeah.
her.
I'm glad. It was like I had to make a decision, and so I felt like a shark, but that's actually called just making a decision,
Yeah,
which
well,
is still difficult. I'm a Libra, so it doesn't come naturally to me.
absolutely. Oh my gosh, yeah, it's interesting too. Going back to what we were talking about before, that indie publishing used to be so frowned upon, and I'm honestly trying to remember why. I don't know why it was frowned upon beforehand.
I
But
guess
also,
just
oh, go ahead.
I mean, just like less prestige and less
Oh,
selectivity, I guess. But those are silly reasons.
hmm,
Yeah. I think we've given traditional publishing too much credit, honestly,
fair
for a
enough.
long time.
Absolutely. Well, and I think for the longest time, before technology was really, like really became a part of our everyday life, that kind of seemed to be the only way that you would get published, period.
Mhm.
So maybe it was kind of like, obviously, coined the name traditional.
Yeah.
Maybe it's going against tradition and kind of going your own way, a little bit more like entrepreneur style. I don't know.
Mhm.
Like, that's just a guess on my end, because I feel like I live under a rock within like the author tube industry, where I'm like, really, that was drama. Like, I need to catch up here, because I'm like 2 years behind every single time. But yeah, and I'm glad that somebody else is also saying that they are okay with being hybrid. I know that sometimes it's a hot take, but it's okay. We're okay with hot takes here, right? This is a
Mhm.
good space for hot takes.
Oh, yeah, and I think being hybrid is, like, so cool, and I
Mm,
also predict with, like, no actual basis on this prediction, I feel like we're gonna see more and more authors opting for hybrid in the
yeah,
future.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, taking as many opportunities as you can. I love it.
Mhm. Mhm.
All right. How much time would you like to do for the second sprint? I am
Ooh,
open to anything.
that is a really good question. Do you wanna try for, like, 20 minutes? Like, 5 more than last time?
Perfect. Yes, absolutely. We can do 20, 20 minutes. I'm just going to make sure that I haven't missed anything on comments. I know that I wasn't able to get to all of them, but I tried to at least get to the highlights um, before moving on. But let's take a look. Oh, well, that was so much easier the next time. It was already in the queue, so I just clicked one button. I'm like, oh, I already did all the hard work.
Oh, perfect. The queue is in, like, the little boxes at the kind of bottom, yeah.
Yeah,
It's
the
nice, it's
boxes at the
nice.
bottom is so nice. Oh, that's funny. Oh man. Okay. Oh, this is a. I know I literally just put up the timer, but this person said something interesting. So,
Oh,
uh,
yeah.
as somebody who used to pore over writers' markets as a teenager in the late 70s, when my first books were published by A Dream 5 about 8 years ago, the reality didn't live up to the dream. Happy to be indie. Interesting.
That is interesting.
Yeah,
I'm glad you found the path that worked for you. I'm sorry
absolutely.
that the Big 5 publishing didn't live up to the dream, but I feel like it often doesn't. I'm happy I can say that.
The hot takes, they're coming in.
And that is yeah, and that is never the fault of the author, it's the fault of
Right.
the industry, but
Absolutely. I mean, like Big Five, super corporate, I'm sure.
yeah.
So there are complications with that, I bet. So, but that
Mhm.
is a really interesting point to bring up. So thank you
Yeah.
so much for that comment.
Yes, thank you for
Uh,
sharing.
yes. All right. Let's get started with the second stream. I know I talk a lot, so we'll see if we're going to do another stream after that or not. Honestly, at some point, I just need to like do lives with people where we just talk. I know that who knows if that would be interesting, but I just want to talk to people most of the time whenever I do sprints. So I'm like, oh, I forgot why I'm even here. So
Honestly, I'd be down, that sounds really fun.
Okay, I'll keep that in mind. I'll keep that in mind. If any of you guys would just like to see authors just be chatty, let me know if that's something you want to see. And if it's not, I guess we'll just do it anyway. If it's we'll do it
Yeah,
anyway.
exactly.
Yes. All right. I will get that timer started for you guys. Oh, wrong screen. There we go. In three, two. All right.
Yeah, that went pretty well for me. I feel like I spent like 5 minutes on one paragraph of description, but that's okay.
That
How about
is
you?
absolutely. That's gonna be a spectacular paragraph, though. Now you know.
I hope so. I always feel it's like describing a character's physical appearance for the first time, and it's always so weird to be like, "Hey, this character is like Korean, but not Korean because this is a fantasy world, but you know, they're Korean."
It Trust me when I tell you they're Korean, but not
Yeah,
Korean, but they're Korean.
just trust me, bro.
Just trust me on this. I know. Well, and I feel like it's always so tricky to find the balance between describing characters because you see so many people saying like, "Oh, well, don't over describe your character." It's like, but also give them some hints. I'm like, okay, do
Mhm.
you want me to describe the character or not? Just say the word.
I know, yeah, like, finding the balance or, like, the moments where you
Mhm.
can, like, insert little bits of description that aren't super overwhelming. It's such an art.
Oh yeah, it takes lots
Mhm,
of practice and, like you
mhm.
said, lots of revisions.
Absolutely. How'd it go for you?
It went good. It was a research heavy
Mhm.
session for me. So
Nice.
technically, I didn't get anything written down, but I got a lot of things planned, which was making me think, which is great. It is now clear to me that I need to reread a lot of the books that I learned in my English classes about totalitarian governments, like, 1984, Animal
Mhm.
Farm, all of the classics that we know. So I'm like, I know that there are specific things that you need to make a government like that, but I can't quite put my finger on what exactly those things are now that I'm writing it. Like
Ooh.
what control you need and what you need to make sure you're telling the people and how to influence them. So
Mhm. Yeah, I feel like there's so many different ways you could go about that, actually. Like cults of personality around like a really crappy
mhm.
leader or like propaganda efforts. That's so interesting. I love that for you.
Yes, thank you. It is definitely something that is so interesting to me just in general,
Mhm.
which is probably why I gravitated so much towards books and reading and English class all of the time because those were a lot of the main things that you learn in those classes. So,
Mhm.
but a lot of times when I write my books, I want to make sure that I do things accurately and that I do my research because there's nothing worse to me than reading a book that talks about a niche topic and knowing that the author did nothing to do any sort of research on that.
Yeah.
So I really, really make sure that I do my research, even if I'm like, there's no way I'm going to be able to learn all this. But
Mhm.
I guess we're taking virology. Virology is what it's called. It's like, maybe I can pick up a textbook and learn about
Yeah.
how viruses work. And then I started reading it. I'm like, uh oh, I don't know what half these words mean.
Oh, yeah. Science is like another beast because I have a science background and I feel like I could handle something like virology, but like probably not, honestly, because it gets so specific.
It is. I'm like, explain this to me like I'm five. And then
Actually,
I can do my
literally.
best.
Mhm. That's all we can do
Yeah.
is our best.
Oh yeah. Well,
I
I don't
know.
know. Like your science background, maybe I'll just have to take some tips from you
Ooh,
because
I'll see if I could
that
help. I'm more like look at plant science, look at rocks. I do have
is
a
you.
friend. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, go ahead. I was done talking, so you're good.
I mean, that just reminded me of I have a friend who's so diligent and she will like email professors at different schools to be like usually for history because she writes a lot of like I think she was working on a historical fiction book and
Right.
she was straight up like being like, "Can you send me your papers?" or like, "Can I ask you these questions?" and would like interview them and I'm just like, that is so admirable. My social anxiety could never.
I was about to say that's such a good idea. I'm scared enough doing these like live writing sprints, so
Yeah.
I don't know if I'd be able to follow through. But holy
Mhm.
smokes, that's incredible!
I
And
know,
I
it's so cool.
and I bet that those professors are like so excited. Like they just get to talk about their passion and somebody
Mhm.
wants to accurately write about it and represent it.
Yeah.
I would be stoked if I was that person.
Mhm.
I'm
Oh,
like,
yeah.
come over to my house, stay here as long as you want.
I'm just gonna explain things to you. Here's a PowerPoint.
Yes, this is my hyperfixation and we're gonna
Yes.
go in. You asked for this.
Like,
I love
actually.
it. Oh
But
yeah.
yeah, that's it's so cool to me still. It's mind-blowing. But, you know, regular research is good too.
Yes, yes, absolutely. I have to remind myself of that sometimes too, where I'm like
Mhm.
being graded on this? No. Like all I am doing is putting more pressure on myself in efforts to do the right thing. But is it too much?
Mhm.
Probably too
Mhm.
much. But that's the tricky thing about writing science fiction too, is because
Mhm.
obviously it's fiction, but
Mhm.
also it's science, which is super not fictional. That's very real. And
Yes.
so trying to decide what you want to pull from science of it being very real versus, kind of like taking those elements and being creative with it is certainly a balance.
Mhm. Yeah. That's definitely I've only, like, dabbled in science fiction.
Mhm.
I really do enjoy science fiction, but I think it's
Yeah.
almost, like, hard for me to separate, like, the science I know
Right.
from the fiction. Does that make sense? Like, it's hard for me to
Absolutely.
fictionalize science because I know science.
Right. You know the way it's supposed to be.
Kind of,
Like,
yeah, enough to be like, "Wait, what are we doing?"
right. Oh, well, now I'm curious what your opinion is on. I know that originally it was a video game, but they came out with a TV series. Why am I forgetting the name of it now that I'm talking about it? It's the one about fungus basically turning people
Oh,
into zombies.
The Last of Us?
Okay, The Last of Us. What do you think
Mhm.
about The Last of Us?
I feel like I don't know enough about mycology to say,
Okay, okay.
but
So
that's
that's
one where it's like, it feels very in the background, the science parts,
right.
and the elements of it that are like, this is how a pandemic would break out and cause this
Mhm.
much chaos were, like, very realistic, so yeah, it's a good balance of, like, here's just a really cool concept. It's not
Right.
how that works in real life, probably, at least not on the human
Mhm.
scale, but yeah.
The only I'm not a science person at all. I did okay in science. I'll say I got B's in science, especially like the biology stuff. So like I
Mhm.
understood enough, but probably I'm not like the best at it.
Mhm.
But I heard somebody just, on YouTube because that's literally the place that I go all the time. I have an issue. It's I have it, yeah, I have it playing all the time. But I found this random video kind of talking a little bit about like The Last of Us could happen if global warming was a big issue. So like if there
Mm.
was like evolution with, I guess, like the fungus, because a lot of reasons why fungus wouldn't work that way is just because our bodies are too warm for
Mhm.
it to actually survive
Yes.
in. But if global warming just continuously kept on happening, maybe they could get some sort of resistances to it later on,
Mhm.
which I thought was kind of interesting. So I was like, oh,
Yeah.
they kind of did a little bit of more thought into it, kind of like what you were
Uh-huh.
saying. Like, do enough basic shallow research where you could give an explanation, but I'm pretty sure
Mhm.
somebody who is like an expert on fungus is like, no, this isn't accurate. Like,
Yeah, I think Ari had something to say in the comments about cordyceps being like
oh,
a real fungus that impacts ants and I think other insects.
yeah.
The only thing I see with that is that for people, our nervous system is so different. Yeah,
Mm,
so mammals in general. So it's not just the warmth, but like the complexity of our CNS because insects like don't have one. I mean,
that
they
is a
do, but it's
great
simple.
point.
Yeah.
You know what? This is great because Lynn, you just put everybody's thoughts at ease. At the very least, we are not going to turn into fungus zombies. The
Probably not.
likelihood has lowered even more so.
Yep, I would hope that's not how we go out, but
Yeah.
there's a bunch of other ways, unfortunately.
Bunch of other ways. Fungus zombie is not one of them. We can cross
Mhm.
that one off of the list
Mm.
entirely. That's so fun. That is so cool that like you also know things about that. So I can understand the struggle that you might have between like this is the way science is. I can't
Mhm.
twist it to my own like it to my own creativeness because that's just not simply not going to work.
Yeah.
So
It's also, like, so much sci-fi is, like, tech-based, and I just don't have I'm, like, a squishy
yeah.
sciences, bio, life science, environmental.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, also, one day if I figure out a way to merge that in a fun and somewhat accurate way with fiction and make, like, a squishy science fiction
Yes.
story, like, that would be really fun, but
I love it. I
I
know I
truly know
think
nothing about engineering. Sorry, go ahead.
no, you're good. You're good. Well, engineering is its own beast. So,
Oh, yeah.
but you do bring up a good point that a lot of science fiction is very tech based.
Mhm.
But I also agree with you. I like the more biology science fiction where I'm like, oh, it gets a little bit more interesting because you know enough about science, like
Mhm.
that you're like, oh, maybe this seems a little bit more realistic to me. At least it's
Mhm.
not like a distant future type of situation. So
Mhm.
I am writing. I'm taking a break from it for a minute because I was editing through it and then I realized halfway through there were some major plot holes that I needed to fill in. But I
Mhm.
am writing a science fiction book called Sleepless Wonder where it's all about the science of sleep, which has
Oh.
been so fascinating. It's been
Yeah.
so cool. And from my basic shallow research of what I could tell, it's like we understand like we have to sleep, but we don't really understand why still. Like that's kind of the mystery. Am I accurate on that?
That sounds right. Yeah.
Okay. I'm like, that's just what I've heard. So I kind of like dove into that a little bit. So I've learned so much about like sleep patterns and circadian rhythm and what
Mhm.
parts of the brain actually give us like the natural melatonin in our brains to feel sleepy and all of these different things. So I'm like, part of me wishes I was a scientist because I'm like, this is so cool. I totally get why people get so into science if they can keep up with the complexities of it. It is
Mhm.
so fascinating.
Mhm. Yeah, that is so cool. Also amazing title, by the way. That's
Thank
immediately
you.
intriguing. I love that. That's so cool.
Oh, thank you. Thank you
Mhm.
so much. That's one that I want to do a little bit more as an indie publishing potentially. I mean,
Mm.
down the line because it is super not ready yet. Um, I just got to the second round of edits, but
Mhm.
it's been very fun to
Mhm.
get into that. So we're team squishy science over here, of
Yes,
course.
yes, we are. I love that for us. That's so exciting. That would be a good one for indie pub too, because I feel like science
Yeah.
fiction is such a hit or miss with traditional publishing. Like it's so small.
Well, and I feel like it honestly had its moment,
Mm.
especially like I'm trying to remember. Remind me what year you graduated high school.
Um, oh my gosh. Two 2016.
16. Okay, I
Yeah.
graduated in 15. So like when we were in high school, like
Uh-huh.
science fiction kind of came back a little bit for a second in like apocalyptic
Oh, yeah, like
type of genre.
dystopian kind of yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and they like would mix in a little bit of science fiction between those
Mhm,
dystopians. So I feel like it really came back during that time, and I really haven't seen it really gain a lot of popularity after that point.
mhm.
So I agree, hit or miss for sure.
Yeah. I think we are gonna see a little bit of a boom because it is so present on
Mhm.
people's minds, especially with AI, so I know at
Mm.
least 2 cyberpunk books coming out. One is from Chloe Gong that's coming out probably next year, and then Chris MF, KM Fajardo is coming out with Local Heavens, which is a
Yes!
cyberpunk Gatsby retelling, and that's also coming out next year, so maybe we'll see a
I'm
little
so excited.
spark, a burst of cyberpunk kind of
Yeah,
dystopia almost.
absolutely. Oh, I'm so stoked for that. I know when she announced that she was publishing it next year, I was very excited because I had been watching so many videos about her like putting it together and writing it. It seems
Mhm.
so intriguing, the Gatsby retelling of in a more modern age. So I am
Yes.
stoked.
It's so good. I Chris is younger than me, but I still wanna be
Mhm.
Chris when I grow up, like,
Aw.
absolutely
I
just
love
such a
it.
fantastic writer and such a mind, honestly,
Oh yeah.
for the science fiction of it all, the, like, relating it to our present reality and still making it feel
Right.
like escapism and fiction. Yeah.
I love it. Oh, I'm so excited for her. That'll be so fun. So
Mhm.
excited for I'm also so excited for you too in all of the works that you're doing because I
Thank
know that you
you.
have so much that is like on the horizon and things that you're getting out. So I'm very
Mhm.
excited for that.
Oh, thank you. Yeah,
Sure.
I hope so. I hope I have good news soon.
Ah!
It's
Oh yeah.
yeah, it's a weird time to be pursuing traditional publishing, to be sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you know what? We in me and the chat will send you all of the good vibes from the universe for this stream, and hopefully that'll do something.
Thank you. Yes, let's tip the scales a little bit here.
Yes, absolutely. Well, we have been on here for over an hour, and I do want to be considerate of your time. So I am totally open to just chatting a little bit more, or maybe
Mhm.
doing one more super short sprint. What do you think would work best for you?
I'm open to either. I don't really have
Okay.
anywhere to be. I also wanna be considerate of your time,
Yeah,
though. So I guess we can, like, leave it up to chat maybe if they wanna chime in on
absolutely.
whether or
Let's
not.
see. So many people in the chat. I'm sorry I haven't gotten to everybody. Let me see. Cordyceps. Okay, we went over that one based off of ants. Let's see. As long, oh, what does that mean? As long as cordyceps don't mix with, I'm gonna
That's
butcher.
yeast, I
Oh,
think.
it's yeast. Okay. I was like, I'm gonna butcher the way that that is said. So please don't.
I honestly don't know either. Candida? Candida?
So it's just
Ex-
gonna be me researching stuff right afterwards. Like, it will see
Literally
the end of us.
pull up a tab.
Oh man. Oh, I know. Let's see. I love how The Expanse, both the books and the TV series, threads lines between science and fiction. When it's done well, it's a slam dunk, I feel like.
Mhm.
But
Definitely.
again, it's definitely a hard one. I know that a lot of people struggle with science fiction as well.
Mhm.
Um, one, understanding it, and also if you do understand it really well, being able to accept the fiction parts of it. So,
Yes. Yeah.
oh, but it's so much fun.
It is. And I feel like it can be so revolutionary because it often is so relevant to our present reality and
Oh yeah.
almost in a way that fantasy doesn't get to be sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
But
For
yeah.
sure. Well, and I feel like there was somebody that I watched, not in actual masterclass. I would love to take her masterclass, but it was a commercial for her masterclass.
I watched those
But
all the way through.
I do too. I'm like, I am getting as much free content as I
Yep.
can.
Exactly. I'm gonna absorb that knowledge into my brain however I can.
Yes. And I can't remember what her name is, but she also writes fantasy and science fiction.
Mhm.
Said something so profound and interesting where she basically just said science fiction is fantasy, just in a futuristic world. Because we
Oh.
see fantasy so much as like the past or like something a little bit more, I guess, like prehistoric. She
Yeah.
said, but in my opinion, I think that science fiction is just fantasy for the future. So
Mhm.
I thought that that was cool.
That is really cool. Was that N.K. Jemisin maybe?
That's who it was.
Okay.
Thank you.
Sounded familiar.
Yes, you're like, I've seen this commercial before.
I've seen this exact one all the way through. Yeah,
Oh,
she's amazing. I still haven't finished the Broken Earth books, like her main kind of series,
yeah.
but yeah,
I know
that
I
does
wanna
make
buy them
sense
all.
though.
I wanna buy
Yeah.
them all now after hearing her talk. I'm like,
Mhm.
I found a new author, and that's perfect because I have. Let's
Mhm.
see. Let's see if the camera will be able to see this. I have an entire shelf right here that needs to be filled
Yeah.
right here at the bottom. So why not put her books there? Why
Mhm.
not? Oh man.
The shelves look so good. I can't get over it.
Thank you. I had a very specific vision, and I'm
Mhm.
glad that I was able to bring my vision somewhat to life. It took a lot of money and a lot of planning, because I don't know if you can see. You probably can't see. So I have a vent that goes right underneath my bookshelves,
Oh, okay.
and so I was trying my hardest to find bookshelves that had like little like feet. That's the
Mhm.
right word. Yeah, yeah, little feet.
Mhm.
Couldn't find any. So I made them. Well, I didn't make the feet, but like I screwed in the feet that I got from Home Depot
Uh-huh.
and made it work. So they're one of a kind, I guess, because they're very
Nice.
DIY.
That's cool though, you made it work.
Oh, thank you. Yes, I did. I did figure it out. I did make it work, and I feel like it makes me. It's an easier excuse to do videos because I'm like, I got the background ready.
Yes.
Got the background down.
I'm struggling with my background lately. I put in this, like, wardrobe because we didn't have anywhere else to put it, and,
Right.
yeah, the lighting in here also fluctuates a lot, but, I'm making it work.
Lighting is so hard all the time.
It is.
It's the worst.
Yeah. I have, like, a corner with 2 windows, one that faces this way and one that faces this way. So in the morning, it's really nice, but
Ooh,
then when it gets dark, there's, like, not a good overhead light, and it's
that's
just,
the
ugh.
thing. You're like, why can't it be the 5 p.m. like a golden hour all the time?
I know,
What I
actually.
want.
Why does the sun set? Like, what are we doing?
Why can't it be Alaska all the
It
time?
literally I'm so because this is probably the furthest north I've lived in, like, a minute,
Oh
and
yeah,
it gets dark so early, like, why?
it is ridiculous.
It is.
There was a small moment where I lived in Washington and it got
Mm,
so dark there.
mhm.
Literally at like 4:30.
Yeah, that's what we're dealing
Is
with
that
nowadays.
it hurts.
It's not good.
It's terrible. It's the worst. I'm ready for summer. Well, I shouldn't say I'm ready for summer. I'm enjoying fall.
Mhm.
I'm not enjoying not having the sun. If we could like have a lot of sun and also have
Yes.
cool weather, that'd be
Mhm.
cool.
Yes. Early fall, beautiful, perfect. One of the best
Yes,
times of the year.
I
Right
know.
now? Mm.
Yeah, we're getting into winter now, so it's like,
Mhm. It's
all right,
basically winter. It almost
yeah.
like, it changed already but in the weather app, it was saying like in 2 weeks we'd have snow here. I don't think we have that anymore. I don't think that's the case anymore. But I was like, no, I'm not ready for snow in 2 weeks. Like, go away.
Yes,
No, no.
not ready for snow. Oh, that's so
Ugh.
funny. I love the dark, and I'm allergic to the sun. I thrive in the dark.
Oh my gosh, JC. That's fine.
Oh
I accept
man,
you. So many
absolutely.
writers are like that. I feel like they're like, no, fall early indoors. I'm like, no, outside.
Outside,
I
at
want
least.
outside.
Yes, just a little bit of sun. Not too much, but
Yeah.
just a little bit. Summer used to be my favorite, but now I'm an adult, so it's not as much my favorite anymore because I have to go to
True.
work.
I don't have as much of an adult job. Like I also get summer off, so
Oh,
I like summer still.
oh yeah.
But I love
Oh well.
October. October's my birthday month, and it's a lot of fun.
Oh,
But
I love that. I mean, you gotta love your birthday month. It's the rule.
I also share it with my partner. His birthday's 6 days after mine, so we
That's
had
so
a joint celebration, and
fun.
it was really fun. So
I
October
love
gets to
that.
stay, but
Yes. October's allowed. October's allowed. Anna Green Gables approves,
Mm,
so we approve.
true. Yes.
But oh, whose birthday is first? Is it your birthday or his birthday?
It's my birthday, so we mostly
Okay.
celebrate my birthday and then add him on,
I love it.
as it
He's
should
like,
be.
there you go. Yeah, as it should be. My husband still makes fun of me so much that I celebrate birthday month, but I'm like, look, I celebrate birthday month. You get to celebrate birthday month, okay?
Yeah.
He's
It's
not on the birthday month train.
he'll get there eventually. What
Yes.
month is your birthday month?
My birthday month is August, and
Oh,
his is September. So I'm like, 2 birthday months in a row.
yeah.
Come on,
That's
let's do
fabulous.
it. So you get September, I get August. It's totally fine. Yeah.
Mhm.
I am very serious about birthday month. We love birthday
Too.
month.
I don't think I'll ever stop loving my birthday. I mean, I had a period where when I was a teenager, I was like, I hate my birthday. It's terrible. Like, I don't want this. And I'm like, no, actually, treat me like the birthday princess
Love
I
your
am.
birthday. Yes, absolutely. And oh, here's a hot take. How do you feel about late birthday gifts?
I don't really care.
Okay,
Do
because
you have an opinion?
I love them.
Oh, okay.
Because it makes me feel like my birthday's lasting longer.
That's true. That is true.
So, but my husband is a very, very polite etiquette person. So he's
Mhm.
always very concerned and worried when he doesn't call somebody for their birthday. And he
Okay.
like panics and freaks out. He's like, "Oh my gosh, I forgot to call them for their birthday." I'm like, "Did they call you for their? Did they call you for their like your birthday? Did they?" He's like, "Well, no, it's fine." I'm like, "I think they'll be okay if you call the day after, really." And he's like, "Are you sure?" Is he a people pleaser? Yes. Super people pleaser.
Oh,
But
that's sweet though.
yes, he is so, so sweet. He's you know what? He's learning, but he's still very
Mhm.
sweet. So that's what matters. And like we can bring the anxiety down a little bit. But
Yeah, that's true. That's true. You need a good balance between the anxiety and the being considerate and sweet.
absolutely. But to be fair, he has also taught me to be more considerate and like
Aw.
more sweet because I was always the person that's like, "What? Get over it." Like, yeah, I was 2 days late. I still told you happy birthday, but he's like, he's taught me how to tone down that.
Yeah.
So we balance each other out, which is
Mhm.
very nice. Do you
That's the
feel that
dream.
way with your partner as well?
Yes, in, like,
Yeah.
different areas probably. I think we're
Mhm.
both pretty blunt but nice. But for sure, I'm a workaholic. I'm straight up a
Mhm.
workaholic, and he's a lot more like, "Nope, I'm working during the hours of, like, 8 to 4, and I'm not working
Mhm.
beyond that." And also, like, I will take my rest days, and I will sit and I will relax, like, actually relax and do nothing. Because for me,
Mhm.
I'm like, "Oh, I'll take my rest day and write. That's relaxing." And,
Yeah.
like, no, it's not. That's also labor. So I'm
I know.
finding more balance in that, which is good.
Right. I relate to the workaholic thing because I'm
Mhm.
like, if I'm not doing anything, then I'm wasting time kind of mentality.
Yes.
I know it's not healthy.
Yes, but it's so hard to break. I wanna be productive. It for
Mhm.
some reason feels good, probably because I was, like, an overachiever in school or whatever, but
Are you also an eldest child?
yes. Oh my god, that was so immediate. Cheers.
Let's go.
Yeah. Oh my god, and my partner's the youngest of he has just an older sister. That explains everything.
Oh, funny. Okay, because my husband, he's 3 out of 4, but he
Oh,
also is the only boy. So that makes a little bit of an interesting vibe where it's like his
yeah.
family definitely grew up with like some more gender stereotypes. So like it was almost like he was the oldest, but not the oldest. So he didn't have it
Mhm.
as hard as his eldest siblings, but he also didn't
Mm,
have it as easy as his other siblings. So it was very interesting, very unique.
yeah.
But
Yeah, there's, like, certain expectations placed on boys sometimes, and I feel like my brother has a little bit of that.
mhm.
But then there's, like, different expectations placed on, like, the oldest daughter, so
You know what? In my opinion, eldest daughter definitely had it the hardest. Am
in our
I biased?
unbiased opinion. No, we're not biased, this is fact.
We're not biased. This is a fact. My boss the other day called me out on being the eldest child. She's like, "You're the eldest child?" Like in front of my whole work meeting. And I was like, "How?"
Oh my gosh, that's a violation.
I'm like, rude but true. But it's okay. I'm really, really good friends with my manager. So like
That's good.
we had a good time with it, but I was
Mhm.
like, called out.
Dang, yeah.
Yeah, eldest daughter problems. We
Mhm.
will become workaholics. There is a way around it. People won't take that route.
Yeah. I'll
Always,
just,
always.
keep doing it until something changes, I guess.
Yeah. Until we die, I
I
guess. But
yeah, I wasn't going to be so more but, like, I appreciate that. I appreciate that upfront. Like, yes, until we
yes,
die, we're probably gonna
until
be
we
exactly
die.
the same way.
Brandon, you know what? Small little baby steps is progress. Like
Mhm.
the other day, I was doing like a fun little like embroidery project, and I was
Mhm.
like, "This is just getting my creativeness out, and that's okay. But it doesn't need to be done for any reason. So this is still fun."
Yeah.
Counts.
Yes. That's how I feel about crochet. That's exactly why I crochet.
There you go. There you go. We like
Mhm.
our arts and crafts. Is it still
We
work? Yes, but
do.
we relax.
Yes. Especially if it's, like, producing something, then it
Yes.
feels good. Feels good to have, like, an ugly
Productivity.
sweater at the end.
Relaxing but being productive. This is how
Mhm.
we relax. Oh my gosh. They're so funny. Oh man. Well, I think oh wait, let's see. I feel that so much. I always need to be busy doing something. We're just making a collection of just like eldest daughters potentially, just
Mhm.
like being so overly productive. Well, have you ooh, do you know what? Do you follow the Eldest Daughters Club?
I don't. What is that?
Oh, you need to follow her. She's amazing. So it's a gal who basically based her whole entire company on helping eldest daughters' parents. I'm trying to think. Like she does a bunch of like what do you call them? Like I guess like conversations with a bunch of people
Oh.
about like the importance of like taking care of yourself as an eldest daughter, but also for parents understanding like what pressures are on eldest daughters.
Mhm.
It's incredible. It's really really fun. I'm actually the youngest daughter. Yeah,
Oh,
we can break
no.
stereotypes. Absolutely, we can break stereotypes.
Yeah.
I love it. That is so funny.
That
But
is
yes, I would highly recommend following the eldest daughter on Instagram because she's got a lot
yeah.
of really really good stuff.
I'm looking at, I think, like, a Substack or something right now, but I'll look for
Hmm.
the Instagram also.
Oh yeah, perfect. Well, I think that this is a good place to end off,
Yeah.
ending on our trauma as eldest daughters. I love that for us. Is there anything that you have that's coming up that you would like to plug in? Talk about any sort of upcoming projects?
Um, oh my gosh, do I? Not really. I have videos that come out on my channel, every, like, week or 2 weeks or so, and I will probably do at least, like, 1 live stream on my channel before this month ends. So yeah, check that out if you're not following already, and I'll yeah, it was so nice being on here, Jasmine. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you so much for coming. I had tons of fun. I was very happy to see how many people could make it, and we had such a spectacular chat. I love
Mhm.
everything that everybody added to the conversation. It was so much fun. And I hope that I will have some more lives up soon. As you guys know, I don't like doing lives alone. It's very scary. And I feel like I have nothing to talk about. So if anybody that is watching this or anybody who has done lives with me in the past wants to do lives in the future, I would love to talk. And I hope that you guys have a spectacular day and that you had a great time with all of your projects. And happy Saturday, I guess. Happy day off,
Yeah.
hopefully, for everybody.
Yeah. Happy Saturday and
Yes.
midpoint for the month.
Oh,
Isn't that weird?
that is weird. I
So
thought that it
fast.
was just January. What the heck? That's crazy.
I
All right,
know.
guys. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you guys soon next time. Bye, everybody.
Thank you. Bye.